Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, where today I'm going to share with you my projects for the second half of the year. So one of these projects I have actually already talked about on this channel, and that's my physical TBR read down project. I did this in the first half of the year. It was great. It was super successful. I'm going to do it again for the second half of the year. The other project, which I have not mentioned, is my romance A to Z. So I am definitely a connoisseur of the free romance, like ebook kind of days. And I have been getting a lot of those romances, but not reading very many of those romances. I think I'm sitting at like 220 ebooks that I have not read yet. And I know a lot of them aren't going to work for me, but I need to at least try them. Insert this project, Romance A to Z, and it's really just go to my Kindle and find a book with a title that falls into the alphabet and read one book for every letter of the alphabet. That's it. That's all it is. And hopefully I will read 26 books. Now, realistically, I think that I'm probably going to only count the ones that I actually read, which means that it's going to take a lot of tries to actually get to books where I finish them. And so I'll probably get through a lot more than just 26 of them, which would be fantastic, honestly. I don't necessarily have a deadline for this project. It's pretty much like as soon as I do the whole alphabet, or when I get tired of this project, because I really do want to focus on the romance, but I don't want to stress myself out too badly by setting a hard deadline for it. I will check in at the end of the year though, if not prior. As for my physical TBR, it's the same thing. I want to prioritize the books I already own, whether it's in ebook form or my physical TBR. And so the idea is to read everything that is on my physical TBR shelf before the end of the year. And the end of the year means Christmas because I am a person who celebrates Christmas. I tend to get a lot of books for Christmas. And so I would love to start with a clean slate before I get new books in. As of right now, I have 5 that I'm pushing forward from the previous project. I have, I believe, a stack of 8. I do. I have a stack of 8 that I just ordered and I've received, and then I have 2 more pre-orders. So for a total of 15, which is totally doable. And honestly, just like the last time, even if I don't actually read all the books, if I'm making an effort, that's good too. So I thought, because it's only 15 books, I'd actually show you all of the books that are on my TBR shelf, so you'll know what's coming up. And of course, if you have books that you would like me to read sooner, just let me know. So, starting with the books that I am pushing forward, and the first one is Within the Sanctuary of Wings by Marie Brennan. This is the 5th book in the Lady Trent Memoirs of Lady Trent series. I really liked the series, and book 4 absolutely took it up a notch. So I am very excited to get into this one. I should have read it after the 4th book. I just didn't because I had books that needed to go back to the library. And I'm just going to try to find really hard to find time sooner rather than later to get into this book. And then I have Ghost Talkers by Mary Robinette Kowal. And this is a really interesting thing because I loved the Lady Astronaut series by Mary Robinette Kowal, and I DNF'd The Spare Man. And so this will be my 3rd attempt with this author. So I'm a little nervous going into this, but the premise is so interesting. It's that there are these people that can talk to ghosts, and our main character ends up in the army in the middle of a war, and her job is to literally talk to the ghosts of the people that just died so she can get really important intelligence about the battle. How cool is that premise? So I am so excited to try this. I'm really hoping that it works out. I think that I think this is a little bit historical. I think that this is more this might be World War I, World War II historical. I loved Lady Astronaut and the alternate universe, like historical fantasy that Mary Robinette Kowal built in that little universe. So I'm hoping that she really shines in this one as well. And then I have Fantasy Magazine special issue, Queers Destroy Fantasy. I have not been doing amazingly well with short stories, but this is my last one. This is the last any of the Fantasy, Lightspeed, or Nightmare magazines. This is the last one that I need to read that has been sitting on my shelf. It's a bunch of short stories from a variety of authors, all of whom are queer. So I'm going to get into that. Speaking of short stories, we have The Proper Thing and Other Stories by Seanan McGuire. This is a bunch of short stories by Seanan McGuire. Now, I do tend to do better with Seanan McGuire short stories, so this one I'm not as worried about, except for the fact that there's so many of them, and I'm just not really a short story reader. So this is probably going to take me a while to get through. I'm already about 100 pages in? Yeah, about 100 pages in out of like 500, so I've made a start at least. And then the last one that I'm pushing forward is Cibola Burn by James S.A. Corey. This is the 4th book in the Expanse series, and I am currently rereading the series so that this one makes more sense when I dive into it. I'm currently on number 2. I'm about 2/3 of the way into number 2, and then I just need to read number 3 before I get into this one, number 4. And then I have all the books that I just ordered. And so I have The Brides of High Hell by Nevo, which is the 5th book in the Singing Hills cycle novella series, which I have adored since it started. So it's a novella, it's short, it's quick. I'm going to love it, I'm sure. Not even a problem to read this. And then I have Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers, and this is the 3rd book in this series that I don't ever remember what it's called. It's a sci-fi series. It starts with the long way to a small and angry planet, but this is the 3rd one, and I have enjoyed these books so far. So I'm hoping, like, I liked them, but I haven't loved them. So I'm hoping this is the one that I really truly love. And then I have A Neon Darkness by Lauren Shippen, and this is the 2nd book in a companion novel series to the podcast, The Bright Sessions. So, and the whole premise is that there's actually like people with superpowers, and Dr. Bright is a therapist who helps them to acclimate and adjust and figure out how to deal with living in this world with superpowers when that's not really well known or accepted. This 2nd book in this companion novel series is actually kind of taking a look at the villain of that podcast and how he came to be. So I'm very excited about that. And then we have Angel of the Overpass by Seanan McGuire. This is the 3rd book in the Rose Marshall series. And I'm very excited about this one. It's an urban fantasy series, and it's also in the same world and sort of a companion to the Encrypted series, although you don't have to read this to understand Encrypted, and you don't have to read Encrypted to understand this. But this is following a ghost named Rose Marshall, and I know what we're going to do in this book. She's going to confront the big bad, and I'm so excited to read how that goes. And then I have A Fire Born of Exile by Aliette de Bodard, and this is a sci-fi sapphic romance that is set in the Shuya universe, and I love these books. I really like the Shuya universe anyway, but I also really appreciate the sapphic romances she's got going on, which I think Aliette de Bodard has only written sapphic romances, which is actually kind of nice. So this is the 2nd one. I don't know if it's technically a series, but it's basically the 2nd Shuya universe romance, and I'm excited to get into it. And then I have title Creatures by Shauna McGuire, which is the third book in the Alchemical Journal series, and I do not have any idea what this one is about. This series started with Middle Game, and like Middle Game was really interesting, and then like the second book was such a vibe shift, like very, very different, following different characters and just very, very different in general. So I'm really interested to see how we shift again for this third book. And to go along with it, I also have Along the Saltwise Sea by A. Deborah Baker. So here's the thing. It's really interesting, actually. For the Alchemical Journal series, there is an in-universe children's book series called the Up and Under series by A. Deborah Baker. And it is quoted in Middle Game and Seasonal Fears, and probably in this one as well. Well, Shauna McGuire wrote the Up and Under books as well, and so I've been reading them so that I can connect back to the Alchemical Journal series. And then the last physical book that I currently have is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. Yes, I have this absolute chunk of a book to read. I really like The Priory of the Orange Tree. It actually surprised me how much I really liked it. And so I'm absolutely so excited to get into this one. And then additionally, I have 2 pre-orders. The first is one that is coming out at the end of July, and that is Sanctuary by Alona Andrews. This is a Kate Daniels universe novel. It's a spin-off where we're following Roman. Actually, it's a novella. We're following Roman. It's the first book we've gotten from Roman's perspective, which is really cool, but also like, we have so many spin-off series for the Kate Daniels universe that I'm just like, okay, but could we finish one first? I'll happily take whatever you write, but also I would love to finish some of these series as well. And then the other thing that I have pre-ordered but does not have a publishing date yet is, I don't remember the title of it, but it is an Aliette de Bodard book. The reason there's no publishing date yet, I think it's like slated for September, is that it is through Subterranean Press, and they do things just a little bit differently. They're not too worried about an actual publishing, like following within the normal publishing schedule, because they do very limited print runs. So they're not going to get on the bestseller lists. But this is a Shuya Universe novel, like not a romance, just a regular novella. And I'm excited to read it because I really like the Shuya Universe. So there you go. That's it. Those are all my books for my TBR project. Like I said, I'm going to try to read all of these before the end of the year, but I have no idea how that's going to go because my reading has been a little bit all over the place this year. So as long as I make some progress, I'm absolutely going to celebrate it. And same with my romance A to Z. As long as I'm making some progress and actually trying the books, like, I'm going to celebrate it because really that's the intent. So that's it. If you have any thoughts or feelings about anything I've talked about in this video, please leave me a comment down below. Also, if you have a book that you would like me to prioritize reading, please also let me know that down below. But that's it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, and until next time, have happy reading, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!